Before we start this video, I want to make it very clear that you should not, do not, I'm demanding you, commanding actually, do not go and reach out to anybody mentioned in this video. Do not, in any way, shape, or form, try to contact these people, whether it is on their public pages or in their private DMs, okay? Leave a conversation about this either in the comments down below or
on the trail.
if you know what I mean. I do not want to come here to start something, okay? I just want to bring attention to a situation that I don't think people know about. Why Anna should be more careful in who she promotes, maybe, and why maybe she just shouldn't do any sponsored or affiliated or anything where she has any monetary gain. She shouldn't, it with her health and medical journey. She shouldn't do that, in my opinion. This is all in my opinion, also, obviously, and I'll show you my evidence for my opinion. Yeah, this is all in my opinion. Let's get on with the video.
I was originally going to make a very long video. Well, I'm still going to make that video, but I was going to post that. I wasn't going to post this video at all because I didn't know this existed, unless it does, and I just forgot, and I'm an idiot, and I'm going to embarrass myself right now. But I don't. Okay, again, I don't think so. But please, guys, please, if I'm going. Okay, anyways, if anybody even fucking sees this, because I was really going to make a longer video talking about my qualms with glitter and lasers and pointing out hypocrisy, rudeness, arrogance, stuff like that, in all aspects of her content: fashion, lifestyle, and then obviously health and fitness, which is the one that makes me the most actually upset. It's one thing to be telling plus size queens that that it's okay to wear clothes the way Anna does. Okay, I'm sorry, they don't fit correctly. It's not okay. It's not appropriate. Okay, I'll talk about that in the other video. That's one thing. It's another to be potentially spreading medical misinformation and potentially promoting harmful just ways of living. Honestly, she does the stupidest shit. I'm sorry, she does. She does really stupid things. Okay, you have to know your limits, and you just have to. For example, Anna loves to do shit like crawl into tight spaces in a cave for no freaking reason, all while knowing full well that she is putting herself in that situation. Okay, she knows she's going to a tight cave, and she knows that there are other options. Okay, but she chooses to enter the cave and potentially risk not just her own well-being, but the well-being of those around her. Because if she, for some reason, could not move anymore, not only would it be extremely difficult for somebody to help her, but also anybody behind her would have an extremely difficult time getting around her. And so, what are they supposed to do? Dig through her? Obviously not. Seriously, what would they do? Start chopping her up? I don't know. Because then what? You're going to destroy parts of the mammoth cave just because you're decided to go into it? Anyways, it just really does piss me off, though, because it's irresponsible. And these things are serious, okay? Just because Anna makes it out alive doesn't mean everybody else will. Because at the end of that video, she says shit like, oh, I didn't know my body was capable, and so, I'm just so thankful my body showed up for me. And I think the lesson we learned is that you should make yourself uncomfortable sometimes. Girl, no, that is no. Anyways, since we're going to be talking about Anna's health, I thought we should talk a little bit about her health background that we know of. She has lipedema, which is a fat disorder, adipose tissue disorder. According to Anna, means you cannot, well, at least in Anna's case, you cannot burn fat and also somehow make the fat before you can burn it? I don't know. Autoimmune disorders, such as Hashimoto's, specifically, I think that's the only one she's mentioned specifically, but she, I think, has said various autoimmune disorders and then other shit because, she's claimed a lot of things like EDS, I don't know, lymphedema at one point, but I don't think she has that anymore. Anyways, yeah. She has allegedly 2 rare obesity genes, even though there are no there's no research being done on these genes, according to Anna, which you cannot just like look at genes associated. Okay, these genes, she says, are associated with apoptosis. Just because Anna has these mutations in these genes that are associated with apoptosis doesn't mean that her fat can't go away. Like, just because Anna has those mutations and she's fat doesn't mean they are correlated. It doesn't. She has no proof of that. There is no proof of that. And the person who told her this wasn't a geneticist, so they also don't really know what they're talking about. And then she also just has a general history of being shady regarding her health. You can see here I have just a couple examples. This one is a video where she says that essentially her last two liposuctions, like the recovery for surgeries 3 and 4, were horrible, and she was super depressed and just miserable essentially. And this was like 6 months or something after the surgeries even happened, okay? And she had been posting on other platforms like she had been fine and dandy. For the record, as you can see here, where she posted about why she wasn't posting about her recovery for surgeries 3 and 4. And she says that it's because instead of saying, it's Anna's prerogative and right to not share her story until after is finished. But she tries to write her story while it's happening in one way, only to try and change it after it's been wrapped up. All she needed to say was, like, if people were asking, all she needed to say was, I'm not going to talk about it until after I have recovered, right? It's honestly because it's really boring. Honestly. That's what she says. Honestly. Girl, bye. You're a liar and a fraud. Okay, next. So, this is a little screenshot from the podcast where this is the host of the podcast, and everybody who is on the podcast, the host and the guests, are all paid spokespersons by Novo Nordisk. Novo Nordisk, people who make Wegovy. Okay. And this was uploaded either the end or the beginning of July 2024. And then this is Anna, the end of July 2024, finally admitting that she was taking prescription medication to help manage her weight. I don't know about you, but if I was promoting weight loss content and was knowingly being a paid spokesperson by Novo Nordisk and I was taking weight loss drugs, yeah, you should probably say something. I don't know. That's a conflict of interest, in my opinion. Next, a little background about me, because it is relevant to the conversation. Because we're going to be talking about not Anna that much, actually. We're not going to be talking about Anna, unfortunately for her. We're going to be talking about the doctors who Anna surrounds herself with and the community at large, I guess, around lipedema care and research. So, I'm about to graduate with a with a bachelor's in biology. Sorry, and I'm about to graduate from undergrad, but I'm about to graduate with a bachelor's in biology. I've worked under a PhD student for 2 years, where their project is to categorize a novel gene in fruit flies in a growth pathway that is conserved across pretty much all organisms in the animal kingdom, which includes humans. And I have an honors thesis that I'm working on where I'm looking at these SNPs, or single point mutations, essentially, within the binding domains of the gene to see if it will colocalize with its target gene or not within cells. Okay, and I wanted to point that out because the mutations of these genes that we will be talking about are SNPs. Okay, so I am familiar with SNPs. Okay, I'm not a doctor, an expert, or a professional in anything. I'm just a nerd with too much time on her hands. Okay, I know like very little about human biology, and even fruit flies. I don't really know much about the intricacies of how their biology works. I just know about a specific pathway, how a specific gene in a specific pathway works. That's basically all I know with any certainty. Or I would say I would know more than anybody else, except for my grad student and my PI, obviously. I am not, I'm not coming on here trying to discredit any of these doctors. I'm just going to point out like, this isn't even I'm going to bring to attention something that was an issue that has been resolved, but I just want to point it out because it just shows the motives behind some of these people in the lipedema research area. So yeah. So as I was doing my video, research, I was putting it together. I thought it would probably be good for me to look at Karen Herbst's actual papers because I wanted to know like why you can't burn lipedema fat. Why lipedema fat is different. How is it different? I wanted to see that. But I didn't even get to that because I was just looking, scrolling, and I see that this has this author correction has been made. Okay, you can see right under here is the original, which was published in December 2023, and then in March 2024 they did an author correction. Thought, wow, how interesting. What did they correct? Because I don't you don't typically see corrections after like something's been published. Obviously, when there's a peer review process. So usually that's when most corrections are made and then yeah, it's not, at least in my experience. Obviously, I don't know much about this specific journal, not in my experience even. Just I haven't heard of that much, but I'm a nobody. I don't know shit about shit. So what the fuck do I know? I just thought it was interesting that they had a correction to a paper because what was incorrect about it, you know? I'm a nosy Nelly. What can I say? But essentially, what they mainly changed was this conflict of interest section where they have like basically all of the authors have declared a conflict of interest. Okay, they also did change one other thing, which was just changing these points to black triangles from the shapes they were before. That's all that changed in that one. To make it more obvious which were the outliers. Oh my god. Outliers. So essentially what most of the majority of the correction was this conflict of interest. And I wanted to make sure that it wasn't like, oh, they just forgot to add one person's conflict of interest, that they actually didn't like nobody declared a conflict of interest at first on the paper. I also want to make it clear Karen Herbst is not the primary author of this paper. Caftali and Donato are, so it is their fault that this happened. It is not Karen Herbst's fault that this happened. Um, at least according to the journal's guidelines, which we'll look at in a second. So it's not her fault that it happened. I just think it highlights some of the sneakiness, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what's going on, honestly. But something is up. It is weird, in my opinion. Well, you'll see. They didn't declare conflict of interest at first. Okay? And that is crazy when you learn, at least in my opinion, why they needed to declare conflict of interest. Okay? They, at first, as you can see, this is the Wayback Machine, January 23rd, 2024, which is before it had been corrected. Conflicts of interest. The authors declare no conflicts of interest. Hmm, interesting. Okay, so now let's look at, as you can see, this is the actual journal's website, the published paper on the journal website. Okay, so this is it. And this is the journal's definition of conflict of interest. Competing interests are defined as any situation wherein multiple interests, financial involvements, or other factors exist that, through their potential influence on behavior or content or form of the perception of such potential influences, could undermine the objectivity, integrity, or perceived value of a publication. And then it gives some examples, but I also just want to highlight that it is the corresponding author's responsibility, so it's not Karen Herbst's responsibility directly, but again, her name is on it, so it doesn't make her look very good. Essentially, conflict of interest in most situations is, are you going to have a monetary gain because of this research being, proven true? As you can see here, funding, but there's also employment and personal financial interest. In my opinion, I think this is probably, these two are why they needed to disclose a conflict of interest. Potentially, if even more, the personal financial interest than the employment. Because when they corrected it, they added these patents. They did also add these guys' employments at these Magi labs, and these labs are also funded by the same people who funded this research project. So it's like a double fundception. And I honestly don't really know if that's a conflict. Like, I don't know. I don't really like. I'd have to draw it out or something to understand how that, if that's ethical or not. But clearly, there's these patents. Okay, these patents are the main issue. Clearly, that's what they added. So I looked at right. So this journal uses the COPE flowchart. That's funny. If they are notified of a potential paper that could have a conflict of interest that was undisclosed. And this is that flowchart. So essentially, what happens is some outside source, so not the journal and not people who wrote the paper, somebody who just reads the paper, informs the journal that there is a possible undisclosed conflict of interest, which from then can either go two ways. Either there is or there isn't, obviously. So if the author denies it, then they go through this process. Or if they don't deny it but they confirm it, you then thank authors but point out seriousness of omission, right? So this is a serious thing, okay? Like, this is not something that scientists take lightly. You need to disclose your conflict of interest. It is highly unethical, and there have been so many studies that have been touted as fact that have been later shown to be not really the case because the people doing the research benefited financially from that research being true. So then once you do that, you reassess the article based on undisclosed conflict of interest. Also, by the way, so we don't know if they denied it or not. Um, but if they did, so if they did deny it, it doesn't really matter because they still would end up over here, right? So whether or not they denied it, the journal had to agree that there was a conflict of interest happening. So then they reassess the article, and then whether or not the conflict of interest unduly affects the article or peer review, then they either just totally scrub the paper or they make a correction to say what the conflict of interest is. Looking at, like, I try to look up these specific patent numbers, but I was having like, I just couldn't, I didn't know. So I just looked up Karen Herp's name in Google Patents, and I found this one. Methods of treating lipedema, including this gene, which is the gene from that paper that the correction was. This is it. Methods of treating lipedema, including this as a therapeutic target. Okay, and you can see Bertelli, Menard, okay, all of these people, Donato, Herbst, all these people are on that paper. Let's look at the timeline. It was first filed in 2022, but it then was transferred over, or not filed. I don't know how patents work, but the patent office first received something in 2022, and then these Magi guys, and I'm pretty sure Karen Herbst was the one who originally filed it, and then she essentially, like, the ownership of the patent was switched over to Magi, and this is 11/21/2023, before the paper was published. Again, I don't know how long they had been in the peer review process, but I don't think it was like years. So they probably would have known that they were planning on doing the patent if they hadn't already filed the patent yet. But anyways, let's look at the specific patent paper. Continuation in part of application blah 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 filed on May 2nd, 2022. So this is like in addition to some other patents that had already been filed. Okay, so these people know they are wanting to make patents and make money off of those patents, obviously, because what else is a patent for? But essentially, you know, it goes through I mean, yeah, this is, it's honestly crazy. Like the figures in the paper are in here. But essentially, to my understanding, what they're trying to do is make a diagnostic tool specifically for diagnostic and treatment of lipedema. And right now, what happens in order to get diagnosed with lipedema, and this isn't specific to lipedema, I'm pretty sure multiple sclerosis, I think, or it's some other, I think it's a connective tissue disorder also, actually. But they also, like, it's basically a, you know, it's a choosy. It's a choosy. Process of elimination. Oh my gosh, why did that take me so long? But yeah, if you don't have any of these mutations in these genes, then you have lipedema because you don't have anything else. It couldn't be any, you know. But they don't know what specifically is causing lipedema, so they want to make a diagnostic tool for lipedema specifically. What this means is these people, Karen Herps, any of these people, and these people, some of them are from Italy, some of them are from the U.S. Actually, oh, actually, no, it's actually just Dr. Herps who's from the U.S. So the rest of them are from Italy, but then she's just from Tucson, Arizona. So I don't know. I don't know what to make of that. And you don't see Birch or the Germans, any German. You don't see them. That's interesting to me. But so I don't know if this is a little tinfoil hat of me, but my opinion, what it seems like is happening is this group of people want to make a diagnostic tool for lipedema and make money off of it. And the reason why this is a conflict of interest, by the way, is because so these people, right? Essentially, what they're doing is, guys, nobody else can directly, nobody else knows how to make lipedema happen, but we do. We're the ones who know. And also, if you buy our diagnostic tool, then you'll know too. If that's not actually the case, if that gene isn't actually associated with it, then they're scamming people. Which is why it's important that they're clearly trying to get a patent, and in order to get a patent, they need to prove that like you understand what I'm saying. You understand what I'm trying to say. And this isn't just me being out of like crazy because the journal themselves thought it was a conflict of interest, which is why they corrected the statement. So it's been a couple days since I first uh, I first came across this, and I've been editing and thinking over this whole thing. And I remembered that I do actually know of a technology or a biological technique that has a patent. And I actually know of there being a kind of whole dispute and whole debacle over it. So this is Jennifer Doudna, and then this is Fang Zhang. And they were both essentially coming up with the technology behind CRISPR at the same time. But instead of collaborating together and essentially sharing ownership, more specifically, Jennifer Doudna really wanted she loved the competition of it all. I'll say it that way. And so there was a lot of, not that they weren't collaborating at all, but there was a lot of like secrecy and hush hush around what each lab was doing. And so Jennifer Doudna did file a patent for CRISPR, but I didn't know if they did that before or after they submitted, or sorry, they published their paper on CRISPR, or if they did it after. And then if they did file the patent before, did they include that in their conflict of interest section? Did they declare it as a conflict of interest
So here you can see that, yes, UC, where Jennifer Doudna and Emmanuel Charpentier, sorry, these two people who eventually won the patent. Well, no, sorry. Now both UC and MIT, which is where Fang Zhang is from, own the ownership over the patent, I'm pretty sure. UC was the first to file, and it was before UC published. And UC was also the first to publish. So, and then you can see there's 6 separate. So this was a whole thing. Okay, this was a whole thing. But okay, so we see that they filed before they published. So this is their paper, and they published it in the journal Science. And so I checked Science's conflict of interest guidelines, and they actually have a specific point talking about patents. It says awarded, planned, or pending patents, including individual applications or those belonging to the institution to which the authors are affiliated and from which the authors may benefit. So, 2 things to take note of. Planned, it does not have to even be approved in the works, even if it's in your head that you want to make a patent on the whatever technology is or whatever is in your paper, then according to Science, you should declare a conflict of interest. But also, secondly, it's not just if the patent is for you, like it's your patent, but if it is the institution at which you work at. If the patent is from there, it's the same thing. You need to declare conflict of interest. And so, in Science's journal, the conflict of interest section is in the acknowledgments. So, scrolling down to here, we can see that this is all they have on the patent, you guys. MJ, KC, JAD, and EC have all filed a related patent. That is all they say about this patent. And it is because they didn't want people to know that they were trying to file this patent. Like, that was a huge thing. They did not want people to know they were filing this patent because they wanted the rights. And and so they don't even have the patent number, nothing, just that they have filed a related patent. Okay? But that's all you need. And that's my point. All you need to do is say that you have a patent in place or whatever, or you're planning on filing a related patent. That's all you need. And all these initials are MJ, KC, JAD, and EC. Okay? Which is MJ, KC, JAD, EC. In this 2012. And this was a big deal. This was a huge deal, you guys. Like, I know about this, and I am new to the world of biology, but this was a big deal. Okay, if you're in this area of biology, like biological innovation and technologies, like how Karen Herbst is, then you would know about CRISPR. I can guarantee that I can't guarantee actually because I haven't looked, but I would be willing to bet that Karen Herbst has used CRISPR technology at some point in her research. And every time somebody uses CRISPR, these people get a kickback. Or if anytime somebody wants to make a CRISPR kit or do CRISPR and essentially if they want to use the technology, they have to pay for the rights to that. And these people, along with MIT, I think, I would find it very unlikely that Karen Herbst doesn't know of Jennifer Doudna or of the CRISPR stuff. I mean, it's not impossible, obviously. I just don't know if I would believe that, especially with this whole, like, this was not just a thing that people in the science world knew, you know, like CRISPR. This was a big deal. Okay, like this went to the Supreme Court, I'm pretty sure, and whatever. It went to some court. To end off with my thoughts, I've been thinking about the personalized therapy aspect and whether or not like I was being unfair in my assessment. And the more I've thought about it, like, to me, what it seems like more than anything is just like a marketing tactic. Because if you think about any disease, right, or any ill, like anything, okay, the flu, let's just use as an example. The amount of time that you need to recover, what you need to recover, how much medicine, like if you actually need medicine or not, if you need to go to the hospital, you know, stuff like that is going to differ between people based on so many factors, such as age, body weight, and not just body weight because, like, if you're fat, you're more unhealthy. Like, no, I mean body weight as in, like, when you take medicine, the dosage depends on how much mass you have, obviously. So, like, the amount of medicine you'll take could also differ just based on your weight from another person with the same condition as you, like just solely based on your weight, you know? And like, is that difference in dosage considered an individualized or personalized treatment plan? Like, I mean, I guess, yeah, but isn't every treatment plan personalized, individualized? Because every person is it's for, like, you know? But also, if they have any comorbidities or other disorders that could affect that illness or disorder, you know? Like for the flu, if you have an autoimmune disorder, obviously you're then going to have a little bit more trouble healing and recovering than somebody who doesn't. And so then your treatment plan is going to look different, right? So to me, rather than like actually, for example, like something like cancer, where you're actually like trying to get to the root of the issue and you actually need to do it like individualized, like not just based on not just based on a general sense and then individualizing it. It's based, like, you have to first figure out how the cancer is happening to then treat it. You know, because cancer doesn't always happen the same way for everybody. There are multiple ways cancer happens. Okay? Whereas with lipedema, it seems like there is only one or two genes, because in one paper they even call it an autosomal dominant disorder, which means like we know, or not we, but they know, allegedly, they know exactly which gene or set of genes cause this. So how could it be that personal? Like, how different could it be? It's just, to me, what it seems like is just stage differences, right? Like, how far along are you? I guess maybe the personalized plan is they're also including like trying to treat, like trying to see if there's other comorbidities. But that's just going to the doctor, is it not? Am I crazy? Like, if you go to the doctor with an issue, they'll try and figure out, you know, what's going on. And sometimes that could be multiple diagnoses. I mean, obviously, I haven't gone to the doctor for lipedema. I don't know. It, to me, in my opinion, it just seems very shady and very, like, not rooted in wanting to actually help people necessarily. Like, yes, of course, it is rooted in that, but it's also they want to be the innovators. They want to be the people who get that recognition and name behind this. And it seems like also in the lipedema research niche, there are kind of two separate groups, Karen Herb's side and then the Germans. I don't expect Anna to go and do this amount of digging into Karen into their doctor, right? Like, I wouldn't expect anybody to go look up their doctor's research papers, because why would you do that? Like, what? So it's not the fact that I think like Anna should have known about this, but for example, Anna is now shilling for Amazon
One Health or something, One Medical, which is Amazon's prescription medication service. And originally, she was partnered with Novo Nordisk, as I stated previously. And she says, as you all know in the video where she states that she's on a GLP-1 right now with Amazon. As you all know, I've been on a low dose of a GLP-1. No, girl, we didn't. But okay, it's besides the point. So the problem is that Anna is clearly just doing this and doing this content because it's making her money, right? Like, she's only doing it for that check. And so why do you think those doctors have that check to give you to promote their product? That's my issue, right? Like, it would be one thing if Anna was just on here like, hey guys, this is my journey, this is what I found out, blah, 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 blah. But she is literally filming with Karen Herbst, being like, this is the lipedema person. And so when Karen Herbst is associated with people who are doing shady shit also, like, it becomes a whole fucking mess. Which is why Anna should stop it. She should get her hands out of this medical shit and this health shit. It's really not okay. It is not okay. And she's a liar. She lies and she misleads. She misleads is, I think, the biggest problem is she is a huge misleader. She is I can't even explain. This is the problem with Anna being so intertwined with her doctors, such a curated, marketed way. Because it's all marketing. It is just all money. It is not just about them wanting, because there are, of course, I don't know, but I'm sure of some of these tests, right? Like, Anna's had her fucking genome tested or taken so many times. And each time you have to send it off to a different company, you have to pay another fee. And once you have your genome sequenced, it doesn't change. Okay. It does change in cancer cells, right? But you'd need to take a specific tissue sample from that specific tissue sample. You wouldn't just take a whole genome sequence like Anna's been doing. And so clearly to me that it looks like some of these tests are kind of redundant, because why wouldn't you just use the sequence you already have to look up the genes? If you already know what these genes are, go on your computer, pull up Anna's sequence and look if she has them. It's not that hard. I promise it is not that hard because I've done it. It's literally, it is literally just like a text search, right? Like, that is literally all that it is. It is just a more advanced word search, like Command F. And I'm not joking about that, okay? But no, instead of doing that, they tell Anna to send her DNA off to some other company. And obviously I have no direct evidence of this, but I could only assume that is because Karen Herbst is partnered with these different companies. And so, just like how doctors were getting kickback from opiate companies for giving their clients prescriptions of opiates. This, again, I'm not saying any of this as a fact. I'm just saying, this is why it is a problem. Because the fact that I can even connect those lines is not a good sign, in my opinion. Yeah, so to me it seems like a lot of this treatment and testing is possibly redundant or just possibly not needed. You can visually see if somebody has lipedema, can you not? The only reason they would need to know the specific gene is to find out the mechanism, how it biologically works, so then they can target treatments to help that mechanism work properly again. They wouldn't really need it if lipedema is how they say it is. They wouldn't really need it to diagnose somebody, to diagnose somebody enough to it's a visual thing. Do you know what I mean? I'm not a medical doctor, so I don't have the correct terminology, but I just know about biology. And so
right? Like if somebody has blue eyes, you know that they have whatever gene specifically it is for blue eyes. It's the same for lipedema if it is how they say it is, where it is a like an autosomal dominant thing. It's a specific gene or set of genes. Then and also lipedema has a physical phenotype. Then like why even test for it just so that they can prove to the world that they're not lazy? They have an actual like they already have the lipedema diagnosis. You can tell by looking at them and feeling it, can you not? Because it's more fibrotic. I don't know. It doesn't seem like it just seems shady. That's all I can say. It just seems shady. Okay, like third time I've tried to do this, but I'm going to go ahead and sign off. There will be at least one other video uploaded to this channel, and it's going to be about glitter and lasers. So, if you're interested in seeing that video, it'll be about how she's a hypocrite, insecure, and just very arrogant, not humble, rude sometimes. And it'll be looking at that through all avenues of her content and why I think she ignorantly gloats that she's somebody who she's not, even though she doesn't even know that she doesn't know. So that's what that video will be about. If you're interested in watching that, it'll probably be uploaded in the next couple weeks because I have to finish up the semester. But then after that, it'll be winter break. So hopefully, I'll be able to upload it by the end of December or January. I've been working on the video since I don't know. I don't even know. But it's been like over 2 weeks probably of writing the script and editing, getting everything together. So it's still going to take me quite a while because I'm not even like I think I hope I'm halfway through Jesus. But yeah. Anyways, so it'll be a while still until that video comes out, but it will come out. And I'll go more in depth about the biology and medical stuff and why I feel like, according to other research papers on just fat tissues, adipose tissues, not even lipedema, but just like adipose tissues, and based on what Anna's saying, why it doesn't make sense to me, and why I think either she or her doctors are full of a bunch of doo doo, essentially. And like, I don't know if it's Anna misconstruing what. Well, it's because Dr. Amron did tell her pretty directly that she had no more unburnable fat, right? So, like again, it's not necessarily, but it's like it's the same thing with the. I was just doing orders. Like that's not Nick. That's not that excuse doesn't hold up in court. I was just following orders. Like no, you are promoting these people, right? Like you. I'm sorry, but unfortunately, even if you are a victim in this, you still promoted them. You shouldn't have, point blank. You should have just done it, and then if it worked, then you can promote them, but don't while you're doing because she was getting she we all know. Okay, Anna, I hope you feel good. I hope Dr. Herb's fucking research has helped you. Okay, but not everybody can afford such fancy treatments, Anna. Okay, I'll leave it at that. Please, like, comment, subscribe. I don't fucking know. Okay, do whatever you want. But I would love to know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. Yeah, thank you for watching. Bye.
I am so petty, but in the most delightful way ever. You can be nice and a bad bitch.